Always so funny. All right, welcome to an episode of Bedroom Podcast. That's what I decided to name it. This is the first episode, and I'm your host, Brody Kabalik. And today we are going to be interviewing Elena Hill. You want to tell
It's
us a little bit
such
about
an
yourself?
honor to meet you, Brody.
Yes, it's nice to meet you as well. Um,
I am Elena. I am a I'm a citizen of the United Nations here in Wisconsin. Right now, I am a graduate student at UW-Madison. I got my undergraduate in or I have my bachelor's of business administration. I did MHR, management and human resources, as my undergrad degree here at Madison. I went straight to agroecology for my master's degree, where I did research on Oneida seakeepers. And now I am in my first full academic year of my PhD program through environment and resources. And I'm very excited to be here on the podcast.
that sounds like a lot of stuff. Um, so that major you said, what exactly does that mean? That entomology, I think that was the word. I think that was what is that like major? What does it mean?
Yeah, agroecology, before they kind of rebranded it, it used to be rural sociology. So it
Okay.
has its roots in, especially at a land grant university like UW-Madison, it has its roots in targeting rural farmers and looking at how agriculture affects, the people of a state or the people of a region, instead of looking at agriculture and how it affects like the environment around it or the market, right? Because that would be more like applied agricultural economics. So this is
Hmm.
very um, adjacent to sociology, very human participant, research based. My agroecology program was considered interdisciplinary,
Okay.
which I just learned that there's a difference between multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary. Um, there's a difference. I couldn't tell you what it was, but
Okay.
one is like combining a few different disciplines, right? Because academia falls into this trap of having silos, right? And we don't talk to
Gotcha.
each other. And so all of these fancy words are really just to say that um, we're trying to bridge the gap between farmers, environmentalists who are worried about agriculture, and then just the rest of us benefiting or being affected by agriculture on the landscape.
All right. Very interesting. That's there's a lot to break down there. Why did you choose? Like, how did you land on that topic? How'd you land on this? What brought you there?
Yeah, it was not in my plan to
Hmm.
do any sort of program. As an undergrad, I was just trying to get out, go back to the community, go back to my family.
Yep,
But
fair.
I met my advisor just on an off chance. And he and I really jived. We
Hmm.
really had, um, sorry,
All good.
my advisor and I, we really got along. We had a lot of the same research ideas. We had a lot of the same values. We saw academia in the same light. And he had an opportunity for me to do indigenous research within this idea of agroecology.
Gotcha.
So I bit, and he had funding available too, which is definitely the most important part of choosing a graduate program.
Of course.
And I never left. And now I'm doing a PhD with the same advisor in the same lab.
Very, very fun. Um, so you mentioned that you were in like you're now just starting your PhD kind of program or thing. I know you just finished your master's. Um, I'm pretty sure that's correct.
Yeah, yep.
So with your PhD, are you working on any, projects or labs or right now that you're kind of just starting out, or are you continuing something that you started a while ago? I mean, what's kind of your path for PhD wise?
So I have a really cool experience with my lab that my advisor is a plant breeder for sweet corn.
Okay.
And so throughout this process, I've gotten to experience both this very sociological, socio-agricultural side of academia, and then also this plant breeding side that didn't really have any expectations of me. I helped out in their plant breeding fields for a summer or two, earning my keep, and learned how to hand pollinate corn and what it takes to go through a breeding cycle to create a variety or an inbred or a hybrid for the market. Um, so my master's project, my master's thesis was on seed keepers, right? And that's very
Yep.
ecological, very indigenous research based. But now moving into my PhD, I wanted to make sure this project that I was going to be working on for significantly longer captured all of these different aspects of myself that I know.
Yeah, fair.
So even though I don't really have a background in plant breeding, I've been around all of these conversations and I've taken a few classes, just very
Hmm.
low
Just kind of like
risk.
on the surface, sort of.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun. So I'm going to touch a little bit into this plant breeding world for my research and talk about intellectual property rights of seeds. So right now, I'm not really doing any research. I'm just doing a lot of preliminary literature reviews and
Okay.
just understanding what other people have done. So I'm not reinventing the wheel. And then
Yep.
also where my research can fit in into a niche, and try to set myself up for
Yeah.
some sort of future career.
Yeah, that is, I mean, 100%, that makes sense. I mean, you never want to, take somebody else's credit or just like
Right.
redo
Yeah.
something. Um, so why are you going for your doctorate? I know we've had a lot of school questions, but I think it's kind of interesting how like I don't plan on going for a PhD or a master or something. I just want to kind of get a bachelor's and get out. But why are you going for a PhD? Like what persuaded you? Um what motivated you to go for such a high education level?
Yeah. No, I totally get it. There's not a lot to be attracted by in graduate programs right now, especially there's, a huge lack of funding and a huge lack
Hmm.
of resources right now going into academia in general, and then especially going towards graduate education.
Yeah.
I personally would not have been doing a um, graduate experience, I suppose. I
Hmm.
wouldn't have been doing either of these degrees if I didn't have a very stable source of funding that supported my tuition and
Gotcha.
supported, um, I get a graduate assistantship stipend too. And they always say it's enough for, uh, what do they say? They say it's enough for your rent and a case of beer, right? So a lot of graduate students do have external jobs, but gosh, choosing a PhD, I wanted it. I wanted the title. Um, I really want to write a book, and I'm good at being in academia. And it worked in our life plan to stay in UW-Madison right now.
Hmm.
And I had a great community here, and I really enjoyed working with my advisor. So, you know, I enjoy my research topic as well. So it all kind of aligned. But if I wasn't already on this track through my master's program,
Yeah.
and I didn't have all of those factors keeping me here in Madison, I wouldn't do my PhD, right? There's nothing really attracting me to go to Iowa State or
Yeah.
um, Illinois or
So
anything to
you're kind
get
of
a PhD
So part of this, you're just kind
degree.
of doing it so because it's there. You're not really like you're not putting going out there. You're just like it's available. I'm gonna do it.
Available, convenient, and I knew my research was important and
Hmm.
had application to Indigenous nations, and that's my career goal just in general. So it felt like an easy way to have that direct impact while setting myself up for hopefully some sort of stable career.
Yeah, I mean, that's completely fair. I mean, again, I don't want to do anything like that. I mean, I don't want to. I'm not really motivated to it. I mean, money is a huge factor for me. I don't have there's no funds for me to do it. So I'm not going that high. So I mean, that's pretty impressive that you can even, do that or even have
There's
the stamina for it.
there's a lot of different avenues to be successful in a career, and there's a lot of different definitions of what it means to be successful or
Hmm.
successful in a career. And, continuing on with a graduate degree is not the only, nor is it the most obvious one.
Yeah, that's completely fair. So I mean, okay, so I'm a freshman in college, and then you're like a fifth senior or something like that. I don't even know how I'd say that, a graduate in a
I don't want to
graduate
count the
program.
years. I don't want to count the years.
That's fair. I've already, faced a whole bunch of challenges or kind of, I guess not setbacks, but like things that I'm just confused about in college. Have you come across things? I mean, I'm assuming you have, and how many years you've been in, programs. I don't want to say you're old, but I'm saying like you've been in school for a long time.
Thanks,
Um,
Brody.
I'm just saying. But what challenges have you like come across? Like what's like your biggest like roadblock that you had to, get over?
It sounds cheesy and it sounds stupid because everyone says it, but it's this work-life balance, right? If we're going to count the years, this is my seventh year at the same university.
Yeah.
My seventh year doing what feels like the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You graduate high school and you expect 4 years, out and done. And now it's 7 years, and you kind of look back and you're like, wow, I've been doing the same thing for another 7 years
Yeah.
after 4 years of high school, right? So I think the work-life balance goes a lot further than just time management or productivity or not getting burnt out.
Mm-hmm.
I think it also is important to acknowledge that sometimes that work-life balance means doing life within your work, if that makes sense.
Gotcha.
Having friends as my lab mates,
Mm-hmm.
having my advisor be a very influential mentor and friend to myself, enjoying the research that I'm doing, and then also not strictly viewing my research or my graduate class work as work, even though, that's
It's
what
what it
they
is.
like you to think, right? Because,
Yeah.
you go through all of the application, you get
Yeah, of
paid for
course.
it, you're not it's not a 9 to 5 job. Some people treat it like that, but I never could, right? So having this work-life balance where I can really look forward to going into my lab or my office, and I really look
Mm-hmm.
forward to the classes I'm taking, and I look forward to making those network and connections that are going to forward my research. I think that's what has made college just in general much more enjoyable, I suppose. Because, if if you wake up and you're very unmotivated to go to class, or you wake up
Mm-hmm.
and you hate the program that you're in, even as an undergraduate, right? Like a lot of people hate their majors, and
Yeah.
it's never too late to change your major as long as you don't mind continuing for another year or another 4 years, another,
Yeah.
people are lifelong students.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that was my biggest thing. Treating it as this 9 to 5 job was fine
Yeah.
until I realized how long I was going to have to be in this situation. And I
Yeah.
realized I don't really have friends besides like my family back at home who
Mm-hmm.
aren't affiliated with the university system. So if I try to separate this work-life balance, it ends up being work and then more work because I'm just friends with the people I work with.
Yeah, that's
And
fair.
so I think that was my biggest hurdle, I guess, at least mentally.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't really had a lot of conflicts like that. I mean, I'm living on campus, so I mean, a lot of my life is kind of just at the school right now. I'm not looking forward to having a job take up a lot of my time. Um, I have hopefully I get this job that I applied for, but you never know.
What did you apply for?
A job at Lambeau Field, so I'm gonna hear back by the end of the month. We'll see if I got it or not.
Seems like it's such a rite of passage for a lot of students in
Hmm.
Wisconsin to work for Lambeau, right? It's so
At
iconic.
at
I'm
least
excited for
once.
you.
At least once.
Well, of course, right.
Okay, I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. We've been talking about your school and your kind of, your work-life balance a lot, but what, how about like your childhood or like maybe where like maybe not childhood, but like part of like what where you grew up? What were some big factors, maybe a monumental moment? Who did you look up to? Anything like that. Um, just so we can like maybe get to know you better versus like what you're doing for, your major or your college experience. You don't gotta, you take a second to think about it. I know I kind of just threw a bunch at you.
I think my little sister, she would tell me that school has always kind of been a defining factor in my life, and that really hasn't changed. So I think that definitely, sets the tone a little bit.
Hmm.
I've always been academically motivated. Okay, I instantly thought my favorite job
Okay.
when I was in high school was being a dance teacher.
A
I
dance
took
teacher.
just I just took dance classes through our local community recreation department all the way up till I think freshman of high school. I think that's when it
Okay.
stopped, right? So from like 3 to 4 years old all the way up to whatever age that
Wow.
is.
Okay. So I mean, it's a pretty
Um
pretty big chunk there.
yeah, it could have been even through freshman year, right? So my
Hmm.
senior year of high school, and I had worked for the recreation department before too. I was a soccer referee. That was, when I was somewhat athletic, I suppose. And gosh, I do not recommend being a referee. Even like for 5, 6-year-old boys, like parents are yelling at you. Not that serious, but it felt very conflictual when I was younger. But anyways, so
Yeah.
my favorite job was working as a dance teacher, and I was supposed to be the assistant to my old dance teacher, and I thought that was cool, right?
Yeah. Of
Reconnect with her. She was a huge part of my childhood, something I
course.
really enjoyed. And then she dropped out for personal reasons, right? She had been doing this job for 12, 13 years straight. And then
Yeah.
I get this job, and she's like, nope, bye, see ya.
So she like hired her replacement basically, and she just like left you in the dust.
Exactly, that's how I felt. And so I was also the only high schooler
Hmm.
working for them at the moment. I was not even 18 years old, 17 turning 18 in the fall, right?
Gotcha.
And all of the other dance instructors were college students, right? At like St.
Hmm.
Norbert College or something like that. And I thought it was so cool connecting with them, right? All of these older girls, and they're always so sweet.
Hmm.
And they got into a fight with our boss because there wasn't much flexibility in the job during their finals and just the
Hmm.
stresses of college.
Yeah.
And so a few more started dropping. And so I kind of just found myself to be the lead dance instructor for
Wow.
a lot of different ages when I had no experience. I had no real interest in being the lead dance instructor, right? I didn't want this
it,
to be a
it just
major
kind of
job. This was
happened.
just supposed to be, yeah. And again, getting yelled at by parents over like 4, 5, 6-year-old
Yeah.
um made a poor 13-year-old cry at one point. Felt
Ouch.
horrible about it. Um, got to the recital. Everything went
Hmm.
off without a hitch. It was great. Never did it again, but it was definitely my favorite job because I
Yeah.
think getting to work with all the little kids was so fun. There's not many times where you get to be kind of in charge or in a leadership position, and
Yeah.
everyone that you're like leading are actively excited to see you every time you meet, right? All of
Hmm.
these like little kids are so excited to be in dance, so excited to be at practice every day.
Hmm.
And I felt like it was just, I don't know, compared to other jobs, other like more career focused jobs or responsibilities, I feel like
Yeah.
it was just my favorite job. It was just so fun and rewarding. And
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of sounds like you got something thrown at you, and you just kind of made the best of it, and you had a fun time. That's
yeah, trial through fire, but definitely rewarding, right? Those experiences that are chaotic and hectic and you go home crying, those are usually the best ones though.
yeah, of course. Well, I think I mean, I got a lot of information about you that I didn't know before, and I think that's a good place that we're gonna end the podcast. So, if you're still watching, thank you for watching. I have to go pick up somebody from their own schooling right now, so um, yeah, I guess I will see you sometime, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for having me on.